ultimately we want to graph f of x equals -4 over x plus 1. First, you're asked to find the y and the x-intercepts. In order to find the y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So -4 over 0 plus 1. That makes -4, and that will be our y-intercept. For the x-intercept, we want to let y be 0. So we want the f of x to equal 0, and then solve this for x. But if I multiply it by the denominator, I end up with 0 equals -4. This is something that can never happen, and so there will not be any x-intercept. In part B, we want to find the domain of the function, and the domain is going to be all real numbers except those values of x that will make the entire denominator equal to 0. So we want x plus 1 to not equal 0. So we just treat this like an equation, solve it like normal, subtract 1 from both sides, and we find out that x cannot equal -1. Because if we were to plug it into the denominator, we would end up taking -4 divided by 0. Now this is directly related to the vertical asymptote. Since x is not allowed to equal -1, the vertical asymptote is the vertical line x equals -1. To identify the horizontal asymptote, all we have to really look at is the leading term of the numerator and the denominator. So take a look at this function, y equals -4 over x. We remember that horizontal asymptote is that invisible line that our graph is going to approach way out at the extremes, at infinity. And so what we care about is, when we look at this, what happens as x approaches infinity. So as x gets really, really, really big, -4 divided by x gets really, really small. So y is going to approach 0. That means that our horizontal asymptote is going to be the horizontal line y equals 0 because of this part. The last piece is to evaluate f at -2. And that's just going to mean take -4 divided by -2 plus 1. That'll be -4 over -1, which is 4. Now that we have all this information, we can use it to come up with a very good sketch of the graph of f of x. So just going through each piece, we know that the y-intercept is at -4. So on the y-axis, I'll find -4 and plot that point. There is no x-intercept, so we have nothing to plot there. In terms of asymptotes, the vertical asymptote is at x equals -1. So I'm going to find -1 on the x-axis and draw a vertical dotted line. Similarly, for the horizontal asymptote being y equals 0, I'm going to find 0 on the y-axis and draw a horizontal dotted line. These are my two asymptotes. They're boundaries for my graph. F of -2 is at 4. So I'm going to plot that point at -2 and then up 4. That makes it right about here. This is everything that we need in order to come up with each branch of our hyperbola. On the right side, since my point is down at -4, the curve has to go through this point and approach each of the asymptotes. Same thing on the other branch. My curve has to go through my point and approach each of the asymptotes. And there's a really good sketch of f of x.